Our Island Home. In the winter of 1918, Charlie and Ella Sanderson walked across the ice on Toronto Bay to look at houses on Lakeshore Avenue on the Toronto Island, a sandy spit that had been separated from the lowlands of Cherry Beach by a hurricane about 60 years before. They decided on a lot near the Sunfish Island Walkway, which is now the Algonquin Island Bridge. Throughout the 20th century, they would share their summer home with their parents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, friends, children, and grandchildren, entertaining visitors and relatives from Toronto and New York, Chicago, Winnipeg, Seattle, and Montreal. Charlie and Ella had 5 children: Ted, Wilf, Jack, Helen, and my father, Doug. Born in 1909, he was brought to the island on picnics when he was young, since it was an easy place for his family to escape the heat and noise of the city. Now that he is dead, I regret I did not find out more about his childhood experiences there. He lived in Toronto all his life and died here at the age of 93. He ran an office equipment business, Dominion Typewriter, that his father bought from a telegraph operator in 1908. Throughout the 20th century, he saw the island, the beach neighborhood where we lived in winter, and indeed the whole world undergo unprecedented change. Global wars, developments in technology, engineering, and medicine. He saw the streets of Toronto transformed from dirt tracks and laneways filled with horse-drawn carriages and buggies into roads and highways filled with streetcars and automobiles. He saw the introduction of radio, air travel, television, antibiotics, computers, and the internet, all of which we take for granted today. Late in his life, knowing I was interested in writing, he showed me some notes he had written about his adolescent and early adult years in the city. Stories from the 1930s about catching the train at the Victoria Station on Yonge Street with his brothers to go north to Orillia to hunt rabbit and partridge. He also described his experiences in the 1920s, carrying typewriters around the city's business district in wheelbarrows, Model T cars, and the clanking streetcars of the day, and his efforts to write for the Toronto Telegram. Though incomplete, these notes were a fascinating peek at life in Toronto in those years, a city that was conservative and parochial, so different from the vibrant, multicultural giant it has become today. I have always enjoyed reading personal accounts of people in other times, hearing the distant and distinct voices of authors describing their cultures, perceptions of geography, the trials and rewards of their everyday lives. A few years ago, a friend gave me a collection of stories about Ashbridges Bay, detailed narratives of trappers, townsfolk, hunters, and farmers who lived near Lake Ontario in the 19th and 20th centuries. This book resonated with me since I love the lake and this city, and have experienced firsthand many of the forces that have caused it to become what it is today. It was with all these ideas in mind that I resolved to describe my own years in Toronto, to the best of my ability, beginning with these sketches of summers on Ward's Island, when I was a boy. I have been surprised how much fun it has been to recreate those days, and how clear some memories have remained. I was fortunate to enjoy a happy childhood in such a beautiful place, and hope that gratitude is apparent in these recollections. I must mention, however, that even though I have reproduced my experiences as accurately as possible, I also apologize for any errors, exaggerations, or inconsistencies, especially to the members of my extended family who shared our island home and remember things differently. To those who did not know the exquisite pleasures of island life in the 1950s and 60s, I can only hope these stories provide a pleasant trip through the place, a place my family and I knew so well and loved to this day. Jim Sanderson, 2016.